As the calendar on the wall indicates, the month of June has arrived. The temperatures have begun to rise, and the intensity has multiplied as the thick of the USAC racing schedule is upon us. And as the first of the 16 scheduled USAC national events this month began last weekend, it's crystal clear the urgency has increased. For this upcoming stretch of races can set the tone on a quest for a season championship. It can also break you when you're least expecting it. It's a test of endurance and trial by fire. It's what racers hunger for. The opportunity to overcome the most daunting of tasks by proving to each other and themselves that they can achieve anything, no matter how challenging the scenario. Welcome to a special edition of USAC's Weekly Rewind and Warmup presented by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. The USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Cars weekend doubleheader in the Heartland began with the series' inaugural visit to Greenwood, Nebraska's I-80 Speedway. The 4/10-mile dirt surface was wide and slick, allowing slide jobs to be thrown at will from anywhere and everywhere throughout the 30-lapper. With 2 laps remaining, Chris Windham, who had led the opening 20 laps, pounced on his second opportunity. He took a jab at race leader Tyler Courtney on lap 29, pulling ahead briefly as Courtney kept his foot in the throttle and escaped around the outside of Windham with mere inches to spare to retain the lead. Windham gathered it back up and chased Courtney down once again, following through turns 3 and 4 and down the front straightaway as he passed under the white flag. Windham set up another big slider on Courtney into turn 1. Wyndham's haymaker came up empty as Courtney crossed over back underneath Windham to hang on to the position. Windham had one last chance and a single bullet left in the chamber. Sunshine was anticipating it and woed himself down, never panicking, never flinching, and staying in the rubber as Windham sailed past. Courtney turned down the hill to beat Windham to the line by 2 car lengths to win the I-80 Dirt Classic for his second career series win. One night later, it was on to Knoxville, Iowa, where the USAC National Sprint Cars made their return after a 6-year hiatus. In front of a huge, enthusiastic crowd, Justin Grant was dominant as he jumped out to the lead on the opening lap from the pole position, with Chad Baseflug, Robert Ballou, and Tyler Courtney just behind. On lap 2, previous night's winner Courtney nearly saw his race end as he biked it on the entry to turn 1, bouncing off the guardrail and gathered it back up before carrying on with his race, but not before dropping back to 7th. After working his way back to 3rd just before halfway, Courtney couldn't channel his inner Houdini and escaped the disaster for a second time as he got sucked into the turn 2 cushion and flipped violently in front of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum suites. Miraculously, he would walk away without injury. Up front, Grant was piloting a first-class flight of his own as he firmly established his position at the head of the pack. The 30-lap ride was smooth as silk for the Ione, California native, who wired the field for his 4th series victory of the season over Robert Ballou and Chad Baseflug. Grant and the Sam McGee Motorsports team have increased their point lead to 97 over Windham entering next week's Eastern Storm Tour of Pennsylvania. Baseflug, Stockin, and Courtney round out the top 5. Out in the Wild West, Ventura Raceway's Battle at the Beach featured a 5-way scramble for the lead in the final 10 laps, as Kyle Smith fended off a gaggle of pursuers that included Ryan Bernal, Jake Swanson, Michael Facinto, and Max Adams. On lap 22, Smith tangled with the lap car of Ryan Stoles. Swanson banged wheels with Smith as Facinto entered the melee. Swanson ramped over Facinto's right front, sending Facinto tumbling through turn 2. He was unhurt. On the ensuing restart, Bernal dove to the bottom of turn 3, sliding up to snare the lead away from Smith. Bernal finished out the final 9-lap run to the finish to take his 5th win in 9 series races over Smith and Max Adams. USAC's biggest week of midget racing arrives in the Hoosier State beginning Tuesday night, June 6th, with the first of 6 consecutive nights in the 13th annual edition of Indiana Midget Week. Elk Grove, California's Kyle Larson sure hasn't forgotten his short track roots. The current Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series standings 2nd place driver and 2-time Cup winner won last year's Indiana Midget Week opener at Montpelier. He plans to compete in the first 2 rounds of this year's Indiana Midget Week, Tuesday at Montpelier and Wednesday at Gas City. Rico Abreu of St. Helena, California always brings the excitement when he gets behind the wheel of any type of race car, but when he's at the control of a USAC midget, he becomes Superman. The 2-time Midget Week champion in 2014 and 2015 won the finale a year ago at Kokomo and is back to compete in all 6 races of this year's series. Coons Curve Agajanian Motorsports took all 5 rounds of Indiana Midget Week in 2016, with Spencer Baston at Gas City, Tanner Thorson at Putnamville, and Christopher Bell at Bloomington, rounding out the remainder of the KKM sweep. But the team has been shut out of victory lane thus far in 2017 by Ione, California's Justin Grant, who seeks his first career Midget Week win, and Brady Bacon of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, who won his first career USAC feature as a 16-year-old in 2006 during Indiana Midget Week's race at Kokomo Speedway. Tucson, Arizona's Jerry Coons Jr. was a Midget Week champ in 2007, but the USAC Triple Crown champ, who stands fourth in the series points, aims to earn his first win of any kind with the series since 2010. Following Tuesday's Montpelier round, Indiana Midget Week picks up Wednesday at Gas City, one of two remaining original Midget Week tracks from the series' inception in 2005. Thursday takes you to Putnamville's Lincoln Park Speedway, while Friday brings the red clay of Bloomington Speedway. The penultimate rounds head to the second of the originals, Lawrenceburg Speedway, on Saturday night, and Sunday's finale hits one of USAC's most regularly visited tracks in Kokomo Speedway. As if a week straight of USAC midget racing isn't enough of a mouth-watering enticement, all 6 nights will feature sprint car racing as an addition to each night's festivities. Wednesday's round at Gas City and Sunday's event at Kokomo will be streamed live on SpeedShiftTV.com. But don't forget, you can watch each of these USAC events flag to flag a day following the event on demand at loudpedal.tv. This is Michael McIntyre, and on behalf of the United States Auto Club and loudpedal.tv, Racer Max says thanks for watching, and we'll see you this week for Indiana Midget Week.